Okay, I think I have the timeline for the SD card down. Hey guys, this is Jules with True Crime Reactions. Disclaimer, everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. I have a lot to do today, but I've been doing research all morning. It's 9:05 a.m. on 12/23/2025. I've been doing research all morning to get the timeline down for the SD card that has the 1112 King Road video on it, to try to figure out exactly where something went wrong, where the audio from 12:55 a.m. to 2:25 just goes away. There's no reason for it to just go away. And it also doesn't truly just go away either. It's not really 12:55 to 2:25. It actually ends at 2:30. And we know that we originally got 2:25 to past 3:30, and there's sound, because around 2:27 is that horrific scream that everyone had a very, very real physical reaction to. So the fact they're trying to say that there's like no audio in here and it's the original copy, it's the original copy that the city has, how is that possible? There's nothing in any of the reports that we found that shows there was any audio missing from what was actually submitted into evidence. So I went back in, I went down through all of the reports, I grabbed some clips from some things. So we're going to go in depth into this video so that I know exactly what I need to write in my email response to Moscow PD, because again, I'm going to have to throw a report at them the way that I did in the first place in order for them to even find the 12:55 to the 2:25. Because if you've been here through this entire journey of trying to get this, you know that they originally said it was like 2:20 forward, and it wasn't until we were reminded in the reports it was actually 12:55. That's a whole hour and a half of footage. So they ended up finding it in a subfolder back on November the 4th of 2025. And that's when the FOIA that we put in was amended to include the 12:55 time frame. And then there's been all of the chaos ever since. We ended up having to pay more money to get the 12:55 to 2:25 time frame, even though it was already paid for in the previous listing. All of the letters prove that. There's a plethora of information about all of the bullshit that we've been dealing with trying to get this. So in case you missed it, please just scroll back, because damn, it's been a lot. I have a lot to do, so if me doing my makeup while giving you this timeline bothers you, then just don't look at the screen and just use your ears, because I don't really know what else to tell you for those who have issues about me just being like a normal ass human. Let's go ahead and go through the timeline. First and foremost, I'm going to play you the clip from Gunderson's body camera. It's pieced, it's edited. The link to the original over on Connor's channel will be down in the description box. But right at 2:56 p.m., Gunderson is handed the SD card by someone who lives inside 1112 King Road.
Hello?
Hi there.
I was supposed to send we have a security camera.
Yeah.
The footage, but I couldn't figure it out. I didn't want to screw it up, so here's the SD card.
Okay, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you need anything else, let us
Yeah,
know.
we will. And there's like nothing, no cam. I mean, just other than this one, which is the only one we found. So, which is somewhat promising. Got some footprints even. Not sure if they're related or not. Do we have a little fucker like this? I need a little.
I have an
adapter things. I'm gonna fucking lose it. Go ahead and secure it in my car. All right, it's in my car on the printer.
Now for the rest of this, I'm going to go off some handwritten notes, because I went through the reports, and the reports are not really in the correct order for as the information's coming in, but there's also some reports missing. So when it comes to Gunderson actually getting the SD card from the person, there's nothing in any report from him that I can find. He doesn't put that in a report whatsoever. And Lawrence Mowry, when he's talking about being given the SD card, he doesn't mention Gunderson's name. The only name that he mentions before that is Corporal Snyder. And Snyder is the one who gets him the username and password for the Home Eye Pro app from the person whose initials are PC that actually is the owner of the camera system. But what's crazy to me is that all this stuff went on, and at the end of the day, he had the password and the username from the very beginning, and he never utilized it until the very end, after all of the drama, after days and days and days. And if he would have just sat down and downloaded the app on his phone and logged in, he could have had all of the stuff on the 13th. But he didn't do any of that. He waited, and because the SD card wasn't compatible with anything, they ended up giving the SD card back instead of, again, just using the username and password on the 13th. So all of this, honestly, is Mowry's fault because he didn't utilize all of his tools and all of his resources at the time that all of this was going on. He didn't actually download the app until the 19th and download the clips. And those clips that he downloaded on the 19th of November are the ones that were put on a DVD and then entered in to evidence. Those would have also been the ones used technically at the grand jury, if they showed anything at the grand jury, because it wasn't until June of 2023, the month after the grand jury, that Detective Fox went in and used Axion to stitch everything together into 17 separate videos. So there's just a lot of back and forth here. So this is the timeline completely as I have it. And again, this is just the stuff that I've been able to find as of right now. And I feel like I've dug pretty deep. I got a lot of information here. Let's just go ahead and start with the 13th again. On the 13th, he ends up getting the information from Corporal Snyder about the camera, the login, and again, he doesn't use it. He's then given the SD card. It's a 32 gigabyte SD card. And again, this is actually in report number 28 in the MPD narratives that we got. So if you have access to those, or if you are on the Google Drive link where I placed them all in PDF form all together so that you can Control F and just find things, it's number 28 on the reports. Anyway, so again, he didn't use the login and password he was given that day. He could have, because that's how he ended up getting the information anyway, but he did not utilize it like a freaking dummy. And again, in this report, he doesn't say where he gets the card. He mentions Snyder when it comes to getting the password, the login information, talking to the person who actually owns the camera. But when it comes to who gives him the SD card, Gunderson's name is never mentioned. I don't know why. It's weird, though. Again, he mentions how the SD card isn't compatible with anything. So the SD card is given back to the person at 11/12. This would have been on 11/13, like on the day of. It had to have been, because there's a few days in between. It goes from that happening on the 13th, and then it jumps to the 17th when he asked Officer Rosinski to contact the girl at 11/12 again about getting the camera stuff. And that's weird to me, because if the SD card was removed, I mean, maybe it would have just like went up into the cloud for the time frame that it was actually removed from the device, but there's no timestamps for this. And I couldn't find a report from Officer Morris that gives like true timestamps for things. And when we were told about the camera footage, we were told 12:55 a.m. on the 13th, which is right after midnight, to 5:22 p.m. on the 17th. So I'm just going to assume that that's whenever Officer Morris actually went out there to get the camera, but I can't find a report. So I don't know if there was body cam on when he did that or anything, because I don't see a report for it. I mean, report number 15 from Aaron Morris is pretty long. It goes over the 15th and the 16th. And then the report that he wrote after that, which is sequence number 20, he talks about 11/17/22, but it's about him going to the Kibbe Dome to do an interview about the guy that says that he was walking his dog and he noticed that the front door of 1122 King was open. That's one of those things that we plan on going back and doing report and video comparisons for. So go ahead and keep this one bookmarked. But there's nothing else on the 17th from Officer Morris. And that is the day that he's supposed to have gone out there and retrieved the camera and brought it back to Mowry. His next report is number 25, and it jumps to 11/18/22. And it's about watching, I guess, someone that they thought might have been a person of interest with the initials SB coming out of their apartment wearing a black beanie, black gloves, and a white jacket. I remember being curious about this one when we first read it. Morris's next report is all the way down at number 48, and it starts at 11:30/22. So yeah, there's nothing from him about going in there and actually getting the camera. Am I even surprised anymore? Yes and no at the same time, and every time, because it's just all of the pile up. All of the pile up. So now we're going to go to 11:18, the very next day, after he's had Officer Morris go out and retrieve the camera again. Now, again, I don't know exactly when the SD card was given back to the owner. I can only assume it was on the 13th because there's no other dates, but because there's no other reports, it's just an assumption. We're going and doing the best that we possibly can. So again, he tries to view it and it's not working. So then he uses an FTK imager to make an image of the SD card. I'm not really quite sure what that means. To me, it sounds like you took a fancy picture. So how in depth that goes when it comes to being able to see inside of it, I'm assuming that that's the whole point of it. But to me, that's stuff that's beyond me. So whatever he does with this to get these images from the SD card, he then, since now the images are compatible to his devices, uses Axiom Magnet to parse the data. This shows him over 13,000 images, which are actually individual video frames. He then goes and meets back with someone at around 8 p.m. on that exact same day, on the 18th, so that they could maybe help get some clips from this, because even at this point, he has not reviewed the camera footage. Now, one thing in the report that really was kind of odd to me was this. While attempting to view the data on the card, I received a forwarded email from blank, whose sister blank resides at the residence. The email stated that he was viewing the video remotely when Officer Morris removed the camera. He stated he saw a suspicious vehicle in the area and was concerned with the video footage stored on the device being overwritten. A man was viewing the footage remotely, not the brother of the owner of the camera, but the brother of someone else who lives in that house, was reviewing the camera footage remotely and felt the need to call and be like, hey, I can't watch it anymore because you took the camera, but this is what I saw. So did they not know shit about SV1 until this person's brother contacted them? I don't know. It's just kind of strange because it's like, this is where SV1 originated. Here, this person telling Lawrence Mowry about this vehicle, and then him going and asking specifically for TL at 11:12 to give him those clips, which then in turn caused him to take the camera and the Wi-Fi router again back to MPD with him again on the 18th. And because it was so late, he didn't do anything with it until the 19th, it seems. So on the 19th, because the video clips he got from TL at 11:12 the day before stopped at 4:20, what he's talking about is the SV1 clips. I'm going to show you the 356 and the 420 right here. This is what got his attention, but because the clips he was given by TL the day before stopped at 420, and he needed more information because he said it looked like the vehicle went up on Walensa, but he couldn't tell because of where the camera footage stopped. So that's when he did what he should have done, and I don't really honestly know if the Wi-Fi router has a shit thing to do with it, because it seems like almost anybody and their mama can review this thing remotely. So I don't think the Wi-Fi router is anything but an extra detail for no reason. If he would have downloaded the freaking app on his work phone on the 13th and used the same login credentials that everybody else seems to be using, he'd have had this stuff already. This is a lot of extra stuff because this person is not educated and he is not any sort of specialist, because a specialist would not have taken this many freaking moves in order to get to somewhere where he should have been in the first place. He had everything in front of him that he needed. This just seems like a ginormous lack of common sense, which is sadly common these days. So he turns on the Wi-Fi router, downloads the app to his work phone, logs in the way that he again could have on the 13th, and then starts to download all of the video clips, which to me tells me that he's downloading them onto his work phone. So somehow he then extracts them from his work phone onto some sort of device where he can then put them on a DVD, and then that DVD is then put into evidence. But what he says is that he downloads the clips, puts them on a DVD, and puts them into evidence. To me, in my brain, you can't just go from cell phone to DVD. You have to put the DVD into an electronic device that is then connected to the cell phone via most likely a cord or maybe even Bluetooth. If Bluetooth, that's kind of stupid because it's really laggy. For direct contact with the cord, that would be the best option. And he's not putting that portion of it in here. So I don't know what he used to extract it from the phone download to be able to put it on the DVD. There's no details here. And again, there's nothing else about these until June 2023, which is after the grand jury. So these pieces, these elongated pieces that we have, that are like the full hour that I did not have to put the 5-minute clips together for, are the ones that Andrew Fox did in report number 215, where he stitched them together via Axion and then placed them on a portable hard drive. So June 15th, 2023, I was provided the entirety of the 1112 King Road surveillance videos. This included 1,464 5-minute videos that ranged from 12:55 a.m. on 11/13/2022 to 17:22 hours on 11/17/22. So at 5:22 p.m. is when the camera gets disconnected by Officer Morris. It seems like using Axion Investigate version 3.1.0 software, I was able to stitch the videos together to multiple hour clips. Those are the clips we have. Those are the bigger clips that we have. So if he put those 5-minute segments together, that means that those original 5-minute segments are still somewhere else. As a result, I was able to compile the videos down to 17. The videos were placed on a portable hard drive and entered into evidence. Because all of the big ones that we got were made from him too. So that means that he has to have like the original stuff. There's these clips that Lawrence Mowry downloaded that he, again, very specifically in the report says all had audio. Not a single mention of it being silenced. Then everything was put on a DVD. So there's the copies that were downloaded, which should be an original copy. And then there should be a copy that was put on the DVD. Now, I recorded this morning, but then ended up going ahead and sending an email out with all of the very specific information for all the different versions of this. There seems to be, according to the reports. So it's been some hours because I had to be on the road for a few hours today. And now it's the evening. I'm back home. I still have not gotten a response, which honestly, it's like Christmas Eve right now, and I'm recording this little insert at around 5 p.m. Texas time on December 23rd. I'm not surprised I didn't get a response. I'm not even going to say nothing about it because they're probably not even in office. And honestly, why would you want to deal with this the day before your Christmas break anyway? I'll let them have that. But starting next week, there's no excuse for this not to be addressed properly. I keep allowing them chances to just like get it together, which is like my biggest mistake, is always giving people more chances than they deserve. So let's just see how this plays out, I guess, at least until next week. But I wanted to go ahead and just put this in here because there's at least like 8 different copies or versions of this footage. So we know that there is a version of it somewhere that has sound. They just need to go and find it. And they need to get more organized so that this kind of bullshit does not keep happening, because this is the second time for this footage where it seems like they have to go and dig somewhere else to find it because the folders are not all together. That's exactly what happened with the 1255 to the 225 in the first place. So let me go ahead and just read this email to you guys so that you know the specifics and what's being sent, so that you guys know what I'm expecting from them. In going through the reports that were released by Moscow police, I have found the following information. This is important considering that the 12:55 a.m. to the 2:25 a.m. was not found with the original folder, but in a subfolder by Tim Smaldridge on 11/4/25, according to one of our 3 phone calls that day. An SD card was retrieved by Gunderson, but Mowry couldn't access the contents, so the card was given back to the owner, who lived at 1112 King. This was all done on 11/13/22, as far as I can tell. There is no time or date for when it was given back. Pretty sure, though, it was the 5:22 timestamp for when the recording portion ended, because that just makes logical sense. On 11/17/22, Mowry had Officer Morris retrieve the camera again after having Rosinski contact the original person with the SD card. The SD card is copy number 1, while the cloud storage associated with Home iPro would be number 2. Mowry then had an image made of the SD card's contents on 11/8 and then used another program to convert the data to a format that could be read. This would be copies 3 and 4. Mowry then downloaded the app for the camera to his work phone on 11/19/22 and downloaded all the clips with audio, then placed them on a DVD that was placed in evidence. This would be copies 5 and 6. There should be a middle in there for how the clips got from his work phone to the DVD. Another device would have needed to have been used to make that work, which would be copy 7, but since it isn't mentioned, I can't count it. On June 23rd, Detective Fox then took clips and stitched them together using Axion and then placed these 17 frames on a portable hard drive. And again, this portion done by Detective Fox was done after the grand jury. So according to some comments, there was an exhibit that was actually put into the grand jury. And I don't know for sure if this is what Ann Taylor is talking about, the grand jury version that was done prior to Detective Fox stitching these things together, or if she's now talking about whatever she was given after Detective Fox did the stitching together. I don't know which one she's meaning, because the hearing where she ended up saying this.
Another example of this, Your Honor, is with the video tape that they've relied a lot on in their probable cause affidavit that we've received different parts of. Part of the hearing on the 14th is to talk about the different parts of that video that we've received and how we need the whole context. This is the video that they say places this car near the residence. We've received little tiny pieces of that. And we think Bryan's right to a fair trial means the public needs to know that they've withheld the audio.
Hello, Bryan Inton, Ashley Banfeld, Nancy Grace, the interview room even. How come no one is actually talking about how now this is out here? You can't tell me that all these freaking big organizations with these ginormous think tanks of researchers that do everything for them didn't already know, hey, holy shit, we've got this freaking footage out here that's supposed to show every victim coming home, and it's completely silent. This is really them withholding evidence. What the hell's going on here? None of them give a shit.
Great portion of that, and that it starts a long time before the little clip that we've received.
That part too, and that damn 7 minutes is all the way in freaking Pullman. So we've got the 7 minutes in Pullman and the bullshit here with this camera. It's bullshit everywhere. They literally want you to think that he just poofed like freaking a genie over into the little Indian Hills area on the other side of 95 and started his journey from there.
To do this in a vacuum, Judge, when documents are filed under seal, that's fine. Those are documents, but this hearing needs to be in the public eye. For the court to allow the prosecutor to say, we need to keep this all private for a fair trial, really ignores the public nature of this case. It really ignores the fact that Bryan has been essentially convicted in the media. You don't have to read but a few articles to see how negative they are about him. He has a right to have this information withheld, brought out in public, so that people can see it's not this neat little package. So people can start to wonder if Bryan's innocent. Your Honor, Bryan is innocent. And he has an absolute Sixth Amendment right to have his hearings in public. We think if the court allows the state to shield the information and how they got their information and what they don't want us to have from the public, they're using his Sixth Amendment rights to hide behind. And that's just not what the court should allow. We strongly object to these kinds of things being closed.
This was in May of 2024, an entire year later. So I don't know which version she's talking about. I think this part you were aware of, since you mentioned not knowing why the forensic guy placed them together the way that he did. This would be, at the least, with what is actually being stated in these Moscow police reports, 8 or so different copies, downloads, files, versions of this footage. In no report does it state there is no sound. It states the opposite, actually. In report number 28 from Mallory, it states there was audio. I have inserted a screenshot, and that's what that is right there. It's the same thing that's been throughout this whole video. The file with audio is what needs to be found and redacted and sent as a proper FOIA response to what is being asked for and what has been paid for. It seems as if some organization of files is needed as well. Please forward this to whomever needs this information in order for the files to begin being searched for. I would assume that Mallory would be one of those people. I look forward to your response. Where are the ones that were downloaded? Where are the originals that were downloaded onto Lawrence Mallory's phone after he installed the app on his work phone and logged in and started the downloads? Those are the clips that we need. There's a lot going on here. So for them to sit there and try to say, oh, that's the original copy that the city has, there's no way, because the original copy that the city has should be the ones taken from Lawrence Mallory, and he ain't said a word about there being no sound. Unfreaking believable, the drama with every freaking aspect of this damn case. That's the timeline. I'm going to see what kind of information I can get. Let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comments. If you like the way that I present this information and give my opinion, please don't forget to leave a like on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And please don't forget to make sure that that notification bell is set to all so you don't miss any of my rants, reviews, reactions, updates, or deep dives. See y'all.